This is a playground basically. Okay, so it has a it has given some sample examples. Let's see how it looks like basically. Okay, first we'll understand the examples, then we'll go to the playground and we'll play around with those. So suppose I want to get a post from a server, where it is implemented using GraphQL, right? So I want the post with ID 1. Okay, yeah, and this ID and all you can change. Then I want 3 details basically: ID, title, and the body of the post. Okay, so if you see here, it is showing the results. Like post ID is 1, title is something, and body is something. Okay, then get a user basically. Now inside user there are so many parameters, right? So you can see ID, username, email, right, address, geolocation, right? So if you send that, it will send you the detail of that particular user. Now suppose I want to change this, right? So then you have to do it from here. Like they have a playground. If you go down, you can click here, GraphQL API Playground. So this will open this playground. So here you can just see the request and response. If you see get user post, get and then create post basically. Create post is for this is for creating a particular post. Okay, but for creating we need to use mutation. For getting details we have to use query. That is the syntax.
Okay.
Create, update, delete, all are mutation. Okay, and create, update, delete, we need to pass the data, right? So what we want to create, which we want to delete, right? So that variables we can pass. But like suppose you want to you are developing a mobile application. Okay, and from mobile application you want to send a GraphQL request to a GraphQL server. So in that case, you need the client, right? So basically the client code from where you will send the request. GraphQL, if you go here, how you will write that request, right? So in their official site, they have actually mentioned. So what are the client language? For example, I have given Java and Kotlin. So see here, what are the languages supported? So if you want any specific language to use, you can go to that specific language and it will show you how you can actually write that client code basically. So it supports a lot of languages. If I go to playground, let's go to the playground now. If you see, you can also open same link is there in the down. If you see here, there is 2 tabs here, docs and schema. Okay. If you see, this is the actually schema for this playground, what they have created basically. Okay, so there is a type, there is something called input, right? Even you can define enum. So a lot of things are there. Now how you will actually get it, right? So how you can define your schema basically. Interface is there, a lot of things are there. And see, these are the mutations. Create album, update album, delete album, right? Create to do, update to do, delete to do, create user. So all the things which we want basically, which are added in the schema. But adding to the schema is not enough, right? So we have to basically give the implementation. That's where like your client and the server code, we will be writing it. Because if you just create the schema, it will not work basically, right? So you have to give the schema implementation. If you want to go through that schema and just to explore the schema, you can download it in STL format. So yeah, in your local system it will get saved. Now suppose you want to know like what and all are supported, how you can actually write a specific schema basically, right? So you have to go to GraphQL and it has a specification. Here all the details will be there, like what and all supported. For example, input values, right? Float, integer, all the things will be there. All the details will be there. Okay. So this is the place from where you can learn more about the schemas and what and all are actually supported in this specification. Type system, right? Schema. What are the types? Scalar types, right? Then object types. Then it support interfaces, right? It support unions, enums, right? If you see, they have given examples also. So when your application, suppose your application they are using GraphQL, right? So they will be doing all this thing, like they will define, your developers will basically define the schema and then they will implement it. And from a testing side, yeah, we basically need to test the requests and responses and see if it is as per the expectations. Code will be written using your the client libraries, basically Java or Java, Python, whatever language. Suppose this one, right? So type address. You want to define this in code. So this will be a typical programming language how you will handle, right? So to get the address, right? So suppose to save the address, it has to connect to a database, right? So those things you have to handle in your code. GraphQL is completely language agnostic. So it doesn't promote any languages here. This is just the schema specification. It is telling you have to define your specification in this way only. So they have given this specification document basically. So if you want to implement it, you have to follow this specification document. You have to use type, interface, whatever is there in their specification. You cannot change the specification. Okay. But you can add your own implementation for that. This you can actually relate to your Swagger more. There also it specifies, right? So how we can send the request, what is the response, what format you have to give for post. The first thing is you have to define your spec file in GraphQL file basically. Okay. Yes. So you can also try. Suppose I want to try this user, right? So whatever we have done before that. So you can see user ID 1, then first I'll send as it is, then we'll modify the query. So always start with query, that means it is like a get. So it will only give you some results back, but it will not modify anything in the backend. So if you click on this, you can see, this is a JSON, it is returning. So user with ID, username, email, address, and geolocation, it is returning. Suppose I don't want address now, right? So I want only ID, username, and email. Just remove that. As simple as this, like ID, username, email. It will give me ID, username, and email. So from client side, actually, it is very flexible, right? So you don't need to remember any APIs basically, right? So use again, there will be only one URI for you. There won't be any multiple, as REST we'll be having multiple URIs for each request, right? So here will be only one spec file, one URI. Now suppose I want to get the user 10, right? Just press the 10, it will return that. If you want to try it, you can try. Okay, you have to go to basically user somewhere. You can search also, I think. Yeah, so this is user, or else you can do it from the docs also. Here I think better. See here, user, this is the user details, type user. It has ID, name, username, email, phone, website, company, post, albums, and these are nested, like post, albums, and to-dos. Okay, you can go to docs In the schema also you'll get, but docs I think searching is better. If you go here, search first address. So you'll get what and all are here. Street is there, suit is there, city is there, zip code is there, geo is there. Let's see, album. Yeah, so album we can use. Okay, I can use album. Maybe ID I can give one. And title and user, right? I can give title. And let's see only title first. Yeah, now I have given user. It is giving error. So if I go to schema document and I'll see what is there in album, we have a user, but again user is like, you have to pass like which user, right? Yeah. So details you have to search it from the documentation only. This document, I think your team will provide you. And user have name, email, address. We can give email. If you are giving something which is not there, then I think it will throw an error. Website, yeah. Yeah. But again, under user, I think company is another one. So that is again a nested one. So if you want to get a company, I think you have to use something like company and then name and yes. So if I pass this, yeah. You can see the hierarchy now. So this is get, right? So this is get. Now let's try a simple one for post. Okay. So yeah, post, as I told before, you have to use mutation basically. Okay. So again, how you will get the mutation, like syntax which to call, right? So you can go to your documentation, create post. You can see here a mutation is already defined for create post. So it has post has ID, title, body, user, right? Comments, lot of things are there, but I think it is taking with title and body. So you can give any title. And in the next query variable section, you can add your data basically for this particular mutation. And then when you send the request, it has been created and it will return you the response, whatever server is giving. For each entity in your this thing, right? For example, type address, right? So you should need a resolver for that. How actually this address will get resolved basically? If somebody is looking for address, right? So how you will how the server will interpret that and return an address, right? That's where that graph creation I have showed, right? So that's where it will get resolved by the code basically. Let's go to then quickly to Postman, okay, and see how we can actually create the entire thing in Postman. Okay. So yeah, I have used this same thing. So get user, right? So same API. So your link, right? So you have to use this same link only to Postman, and you can copy the same query, whatever query you want to run, you can copy it. Okay. Only thing in the body section, right? So you have to select GraphQL. And then when you hit it, you should get the response basically. If you change the ID, you should get different response. So next one is creating, right? So we can create a post. Here, if you see here, mutation code you can copy. The right side you can see GraphQL variables section. There you put your request. I mean the data. Point is only one endpoint here. Because everything is controlled in the schema only, right? So you don't need to remember different endpoints. Only you have to construct your queries properly. Even in a behind backend side, you can connect to different microservices. So that and all flexibility you will be having. So client side, it is simple actually. Client side, only queries or mutations, you will be using it. But the server side, all the resolver functions you have to add. I think we can just go through one simple example. So if I go to Java example, this is a execute a hello world, right? So you can see it is building that query type. If you see type query, right? You see here, first line is type query. This is like a simple, query they have created, right? And then schema parser. So what is schema parser basically? So that should be part of your code or client libraries. So if you see here, all the imports, right? GraphQL, schema, all these things are there, and then you build a schema and then you execute it basically. And once you execute, you can get data. Then it should print a hello world. That's all.
Okay.
And here is a Java docs also. I think this will be of your interest. So source code is also there. You can go through it. So since we are hitting up this particular server, right, from Postman, so they might have implemented it in their backend. So this is another URL you can try. This is a Spotify app. So yeah, similar way, like the other one also. This is also one available, which you can play around. So similarly, like you can send queries and then you can get a response back. You can see some data are coming out. Okay. See, there are few things actually when you compare REST versus GraphQL. See, GraphQL is comparatively new, okay, and REST is like from years we are using, and both has I think its own way of pros and cons basically. What I could see, for example, like security, right? So security side, GraphQL says it should be provided by the business layer. Like GraphQL doesn't guarantee any security. So REST, at least we have this auth and all, right? So
Yes.
in place. So GraphQL no, doesn't provide any security from the spec side, right? So it doesn't have any guidelines for security. That is missing actually. But otherwise, like if you see this overfetching and underfetching problem of REST, right? So where we can see a clear win from the GraphQL. Because REST
Yes.
always like you can either get more data or you will get less data. And you cannot just get what exactly you want basically. So in that side, like GraphQL is always a winner. But in a popularity wise, I think REST is still has more users and more popular. GraphQL, it's growing basically. It's a growing. It has a community support. It's growing. But yeah, even I have seen like Netflix also has come up with something. I'll show you that. It's called Falcor. Actually, it's similar to GraphQL, but it is a Netflix implementation.